Hello, welcome. So in this video, let's talk about how to develop an unshakable abundance mindset in order to create exactly what matters to you. And I can't emphasize this enough. And it really is the make or break between those who are successful and those who are not, no matter what it is they're trying to create for themselves. It's all about mindset, right? So there are three reasons, primary reasons, all have been researched why so many women don't make the money they desire, have the business that feeds their souls, and it's all related to mindset. So that's why I wanted to share this with you even before we get on our call together, because I wanted to give this to you now so you can really start cultivating your abundance mindset in a really strong way. Because if you talk to anyone who's been successful in business or in anything, whether it's cultivating health, a creative pursuit, a relationship, a good relationship that matters, they all will tell you that the key to their success was their mindset. So that when problems came up, when they had a setback, when they ran into roadblocks, they just didn't give up. They didn't say, oh, it isn't working, I'm exhausted and overwhelmed. No, they kept going because they had this unshakable mindset that they had cultivated. And that included self-belief in themselves. They had confidence in themselves. And they knew in their heart, I can do this, I'm going to do it. And that's where I want you to be at with your mindset so that you feel like this is possible for you. Yes, we can talk strategy. We can put all those pieces in place for you to take action. And of course we will. But actually all of that is for nothing if you don't have your mind right. So let's dive into this. I want to share with you the three reasons why so many women don't create the abundance and success that they want. And I just want to tell you that I see why so many don't make it. So I want you to start noticing them and avoiding these reasons and blocks, so to speak, so that they're not going on with you, and you can make sure that you're moving forward the way you want, okay? So here is the first one, and they are our fears and limiting beliefs. Yes, we all have them. These are all going on inside of us. They're rolling around in there, and here are just a few. I mean, it's not all the fears or limiting beliefs you could possibly have, but truthfully, most of them will roll up into these four bigger categories: the fear of failure, fear of success, fear of not being good enough, and scarcity, which is really the scarcity. There's time, money, energy, love, resources, all that falls under the fear of scarcity. So here's the thing about these fears and limiting beliefs. They're happening in our subconscious. If you think about your mind like an iceberg, and this is often a researched reference that's made, so there's 10 to 15% above the water that you can see, and there's about 85 to 90% of the iceberg that's below the water that you can't see. Your mind is exactly like that. The 10 to 15% above the water is the conscious mind. That's where you're saying consciously, I want abundance. I want a successful business. I want vitality and confidence to express in my heart. And I really want love. And I'm being called into this more whole version of myself. And I know I'm meant to be this person in my life. I know I'm meant to manifest and create a thriving life and business. And that's what you may be saying consciously. But then you've got this 85 to 90% of your mind, the subconscious, and that's where all these fears and limiting beliefs are going on. And we're not always aware of them because they're below the surface. And here's the thing, especially when we're not aware of them, they start driving some of our actions, right? And these are just a few examples. It's not every example possible, but just to give you an idea. So let's say you have a fear of failure and it paralyzes you in place, right? So that for the record, I just want you to know that I have worked through all of these, each one of these more than once. And at the time, I would have sworn to you that I did not have a fear of failure because I wanted success so badly. And it's really a funny thing how this works. But this fear causes us to stay stuck and to play small because you're hiding your light. You're not shining as bright and true as you're meant to. And the actions of holding yourself back become a little bit self-sabotage, right? So as well, you can have fear of failure and success at the same time. It happens all the time, actually. Undervaluing ourselves is it leads to underpricing ourselves and our services, or maybe not creating the thing that we know that is rumbling around inside of us, dying to come through, maybe feeling like there's not enough. And, guess what? If you feel like there's not enough, then you don't get enough. And other people out there are doing it. One might feel, who is in the not enough place, that other people out there are doing it better, and they've been doing it for longer. And, it just gets into this whole story that we tell ourselves in our head, and it creates contraction and a downward spiral. Right? Instead, being in an abundance mindset, saying things like, hey, the pie is always growing. There's enough for everybody. There's enough business, ideal clients, money, time, and energy for me. And not being in that mindset causes you to have actions and to do things that have outcomes, such as never getting out of the starting block, right? Never getting that thing created, or staying too long in one place and not growing, which is our design. Our design is to grow. It's always our design to be growing, evolving, and expanding. I mean, we have that. We have a level of potential that is quite a bit bigger than we allow ourselves to consider, and it's actually coded in our DNA. And so if we're starting to feel a little hopeless, that causes us to go into some of that comparison-itis, where we look at ourselves in comparison to other people in our space, where we say, oh, they're so much better, they're so much more evolved, they're so much more whatever, creative, and I'm not. And that puts you in a place where you're constantly wondering, how will this ever work? And what happens when we're living with all these outcomes? And if we don't become aware of what's in our subconscious, what will happen ultimately is that our dreams and desires will remain unexpressed. And truthfully, when our dreams and desires remain unexpressed, and they do not become our reality like they're designed to, it is depressing, it's devastating, it causes disease, it's disempowering, when as an expression of life force that each of us are, you and I are both an expression of life force, our very design is to allow life to flow through us, right? This is the way we allow our desires and dreams to become alive in our physical reality, is to allow this creative life force to flow through us. You want abundance to flow in your business and life. You want vitality and health. You want ease and joy and peace as you make your contribution to the whole. You want to express your inborn, innate, natural creative tendencies. That is normal. So how do you deal with the fears and limiting beliefs that are holding you back? Well, here's what to do. Essentially, it's 3 things. The first thing is to write them down. Write down any of the fears and limiting beliefs that are coming up when you think about your business or project. Just think about the thing you want to create and notice what fears come up. And then just get them all out on paper. And by the way, if you do this old school pen to paper, research shows that there's something more powerful in transferring it from them rolling around in your head, down through your arm, through the pen or pencil, and onto the paper. And the cool thing is that the fear itself loses power in that movement from your head through your arm to, through the writing implement onto the paper. And then when you read it back to yourself, like out there on black and white, it also loses power. Then the second thing to do is, as you read through each one, ask yourself, why is this utter BS? Why is this just not true? Because it's not. It's a story that your ego or lower mind is telling you, and it's the disconnected part of your lizard brain that jumps in to protect us when we go to do something new. It happens to everybody every time we decide to do something new. And I just want you to know it's normal, and you want to keep reminding yourself of that, because then you can just navigate through it with much more ease and grace. Fear is never the truth. That is something that I hope you never forget. Fear is never the truth. What's happening in your lizard brain is that back in the primitive state, It's saying, oh, something new is on the horizon. We might get eaten. It's a lion coming to get us. And once upon a time, that might have been true, but let's face it, it's not true today, right? And so often when we're doing new and exciting things, the ego or the lower mind or the lizard brain misinterprets what that is, and it goes into fight or flight instantly. Then it comes up with a story for why you can't do it and why it's only safe if you stay where you are, but it's just really not the truth. It's just a story. So you've got to poke a hole in it. And if you're having trouble doing that, look at the evidence of past success. So let's just say that I have a fear of creating a business that allows me to stay in my center peacefully, serving in a way that makes my heart deeply happy and manifesting a flow of income greater than I've ever been able to. So because I've never done this, right? So I worry that I can't do it. It makes me think that I can, what makes me think that I can create something like this? Well, why is that just not true? I asked myself, and believe me, I've done this. So maybe I haven't built something like this before, but I sure have done other things in my life where I've built them from nothing, right? I've sure had other mountains that I've climbed one step at a time and reached the top. That's true. I sure have had other challenges where it just didn't seem possible, but I made it happen. And that's true for you too. And you just want to give equal airtime to what is true when your fears come up. It's true for everyone who's living and learning, and this includes you. So look for that evidence. Keep it as active as your stories. It's only fair. I like to call this equal airtime. This is what will help you poke a hole in your fears and limiting beliefs. And then using that evidence of why it isn't true, I want you to rewrite your story. Okay, this is the third part. So you write out a new statement that's an unlimited and liberating belief. So if continuing our example, maybe I would write out a new statement of truth that says, I have had success in the past. I know I can make my business work. If I even know one other person who has done it, and I do, then it's possible for me. And women are doing it every day, which means it's even more possible for me. Or something along those lines. But you want to write it in the affirmative, and you want to, know that you're creating a new belief for yourself. So that's how I do it. I know when I'm wanting to create a new belief for myself, then I'm creating confidence and self-belief, and I'm creating a new story, a new sort of ending or outcome to the story, instead of spinning in the hamster's wheel of the old story over and over, which is such a waste of energy, and it's exhausting. So that's how you deal with the fears and limiting beliefs. And for the record, I know I've said this, but I've done this so many times on every subject that matters to me. Some of them, go through quicker. Some of them are a little more sticky, but it works every time as long as I don't dump out on myself. Okay, so let's look at the second reason that a lot of women don't create what they intend to. That is related to mindset, and that is indecision. And if I had a dime for every time I've witnessed a woman being indecisive, whether it's about who they want to serve, what the product is, or the thing inside of them that they want to put out first, or whether they're good enough compared to someone else, or bringing their message to a market, or making an investment in their business, whatever it is, I see so many women sit in indecision, and all it does is keep them stuck, right? And here's what's driving indecision. Our old friend, fears and limiting beliefs. We already just talked about those. And what's also driving it is lack of confidence and the lack of self-belief that we also just talked about. So there are some interplays between these three, right? They tend to be interconnected, and yet at the same time, they have a distinct separateness, about them. For example, I can have a fear about building my business, but I can feel really confident that my product or service is good and helps a lot of people. Or I can have a fear that I'm not sure how to grow and expand, but I can have the self-belief that I'll find a way because it matters to me. And anytime something has mattered to me, I always find a way. So you can have one of these and not the other, but truthfully, if you have all three going on at the same time, it's a bit of a whirlwind, isn't it? And one or more of these going on can definitely cause indecision. Okay, so when you're thinking about getting really clear on what you're going to create, narrowing it down and becoming really laser focused, you might find you're scared to move forward because you don't have the confidence or self-belief, or maybe there's a fear or limiting belief that's holding you back. Same when it comes to investing in yourself to grow your business, right? Is there a fear behind that? Is there some lack of self-confidence or lack of self-belief. And let's ask ourselves, what happens when we sit in fear or indecision? It's not a happy place to be at all. It's actually pretty miserable when we're sitting in indecision. We're in limbo, essentially, and a human being is not designed to be stuck or in limbo. We're designed to be in flow. So stopping the flow of life force, which is designed to flow, like I just said, it means that we stay exactly where we are. And exactly where we are is not where we want to be. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening or watching this video, right? Let's be honest. And it keeps you staying stuck, keeps you inside your comfort zone. And I know, I've learned this, that the comfort zone literally equals comfortable. And what comfortable really means is just that it's familiar. It's what we know. So we can actually be in our comfort zone, but it can feel really bad, right? It's really kind of a strange thing. It's just that it's familiar to us. And so it's what we're used to. And we're afraid to move out of that, even though it's uncomfortable, and miserable and doesn't feel good. So you want to get out of that, and you want to get out of where you are, and you want to create your life, and you want to create your business the way you're dreaming of, right? So how do you essentially get out of the indecision? So let's say you're really indecisive about, say, making an investment in yourself to grow your income in your business. So you want to look at, why is this happening? Why am I in indecision? And I don't want you to stop at the first answer, because if I ask that question, I'll just give you an example. When I hired my first coach, it was obviously an investment. It always is when you do that. And I had some indecision in the beginning. And then when I asked myself why, I said, okay, well, it's a lot of money, but that's not the real reason. If I ask again, why? Okay, well, then it came up that I'm not really sure if I'll make my money back, right? And then that uncovered for me a fear and a limiting belief, a lack of self-belief and a lack of self-confidence in myself, because part of me was also thinking I was worth spending money on myself. So it can be dual like that. And all you're looking to do is not judge yourself for it, but uncover it so you can move through it, so you can navigate. So in my case, I was able to then become aware of that and put it through the process I just described in terms of how you deal with fears and limiting beliefs. So I looked at it head on, and I say, okay, why is that just not true? And I looked back in my past, and I found evidence that, in fact, when I invest in myself, doors open, money flows, business works better, I feel more vital. The return on my investment was far greater than I could even see from the beginning, when I said yes initially, sort of feeling a little fearful, but I said yes anyway. And I couldn't see from that place how much better the investment was going to be in on the end, at the other end. So anyway, I was rewriting my story and getting myself out of indecision and getting myself into a place where I take decisive action, moving myself forward that serves me and helps me grow myself and thus my business. Because let's face it, our business can only grow when we do. And a lot of people have that backwards. I did too early on. First, I grow myself, and then my business grows. That's true for any business of any size. So anytime you're in indecision, whether it's that, making the investment in yourself to grow your business, or who to hire, or your marketing message, or which business path to choose to best match your qualities and value, whatever it is, peel back the onion and ask why until you get to the bottom of it. Because chances are it's some kind of lack of confidence or self-belief or fear or limiting belief that's causing the indecision, and that's what you've got to confront and then start rewriting that for yourself, okay? It's I can't even tell you how worth it is. So the third reason that I have to share with you is that if you're watching this, I know that you have an important why, a why that stirs your heart and soul and means a lot to you, something that calls you, like a sense of purpose. And even if you don't have 100% clarity about it yet, sometimes it's still in the gestation phase, and that's totally okay. There are ways to move that forward as well. I know you have a why, and that's why it's imperative that you grow yourself to grow your business and create the abundance that allows for you to thrive and not just survive. So here's a few things about the why. You've got to check it and ask a few questions about your why, and just make sure it's really securely in place. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Is my why big enough? You want to ask yourself. Are you super clear on it? And are you connecting to it daily? Because those are the questions you want to ask about your why in order to make sure it's really securely in place. And the reason is because that it's your why that is going to be the key motivating factor that pulls you forward when the going gets tough. So it's got to be big enough. And here's how I like to think about the why. And I would offer this to you as well. It's like a lighthouse. And if you think about a lighthouse, it's stable, it's constant, it doesn't move. The ships and boats know to look for it. They know to look for that light, and that light guides them forward, guides them home, whether it's foggy weather, stormy waters, or whatever the conditions. They know to look for that light and that lighthouse because that's what's going to guide them. And your why is the light in your lighthouse. It's there to guide you forward always, no matter the weather conditions in your life or business, right? So whether you're running into roadblocks, whether you're confused, so there's like fog, you're having stormy waters, it's a little rough for a little bit of time, whatever it is, the why is the center of your GPS. It's how you navigate. It's what you always look for. So you'd better, that's why it's really valuable and important to check that it's big enough, to be really super clear on it, and to be connecting to it every day. Because here's what happens if you're not doing that. You will get burned out, exhausted, and overwhelmed. You'll be working on and in your business and forgetting your why. So that's a recipe for burnout very quickly and exhaustion. It can also lead you to wanting to give up when the going gets tough. You just feel like, I'm exhausted. I've been working at this and I'm still not seeing the results I want, and I'm feeling over it because you haven't checked your why daily, or you haven't connected with it, or it isn't big enough, right? So you've got to be really clear on that. And so how do you do that? How do you check on your why, and how do you connect to it daily? And this is, I think, a super fun one. You write down every why and reason you have for growing yourself to build your business or your project and making it a success. And you get extra credit if you use colored pencil or any version of color, if you include shapes and symbols to represent what your inner wisdom feels about it, so that you can engage your mind and your creative spirit. It's one of the most powerful exercises I know of to connect with your why. And realize there is more than one why. There's usually a big overarching why, and then there are all these other whys that support that bigger why and reinforce it. So you might even be thinking about some of them now, right? So write them all down, look at them, and connect to them every day. I personally keep my list close to me. I have more than one list. I read it when I'm like waiting in line. I pull it out of my purse if I'm on hold. I even bring it with me to pee. Maybe this is too much information, but I figure, why not? I've got a few minutes there. I have a little sticky on my bathroom mirror. I really don't let a lot of time throughout the day go by for me to forget my why, so that I can really just keep a very good connection with it. But whatever works for you is good. Just make sure you're connecting daily, because that is going to be your ultimate point of navigation and GPS. Okay, so let's just recap here. How can you not fall into the space of having a shaky mindset and rather create your unshakable abundance mindset? So we did go through the fears and limiting beliefs, and you really, please don't skip this one. When I do this with women, it's really kind of funny. They literally laugh and they just say, "This is ridiculous. I can't believe I've been giving so much attention to my story." I had a woman in just the other day. She was in tears because I could just feel her strangled by her fear. And then when we asked why this is just not true, she just started cracking up, and it was so hilarious. It happens all the time. Once you really tell the truth about a fear, you'll feel so much lighter inside. And I really, I just really want to encourage you to do this. And when you see it in black and white, and you realize that it really isn't true, and you've been giving it far too much energy, and when you poke a hole in it and you know it isn't true, the number 3 becomes really kind of simple. This is where you rewrite your story. And those fears and limiting beliefs, they may have been rolling around in your subconscious for a long time, and it doesn't mean they have to stay, nor does it mean they have to dictate your future, right? That's really important. And only you can change them now in the present and make things different moving forward. And this is how to do it. It's a really simple process, but boy, is it effective. And then the second thing to recap is we looked at indecision, whether you're deciding to make an investment in your growth, or you're deciding to hire someone, or you're deciding to commit to a particular project, or just go for it in some version of your purpose and get laser focused on a service or a product that you have. Whatever it is, look at it and ask yourself, why is this indecision happening? And keep asking. And the truth is, you will know when you get to the real answer, and you'll sort of know because there just won't be anywhere else to go, and you'll feel it. And it'll be like when it's out there and you see it for what it is, the chances are, more likely than not, it is wrapped up in fears and limiting beliefs. And so you can take it through the process. You know how to do this now, right? You start to turn it around. You go from indecision to decisiveness very quickly when you do this. And then third is your why. Make your why your navigation point, the center of your GPS, and think of it as the light in your lighthouse. It's always there, and it will always guide you no matter what the conditions are. And then this is how you start creating your unshakable mindset. And here's what happens when you put all these pieces together. When you create your new unlimited and liberating beliefs that you're cultivating every day, and you're taking decisive and aligned actions, and you're crystal clear on your why, so then we get to say, well, what is that going to give you? Well, all of these combined are going to give you confidence and self-belief. And that always equals the results that are in your highest good, the results that you're aching for, the results that your heart is desiring. Unshakable confidence and self-belief. And this is the key. When we have confidence and self-belief, we move forward. We move forward, and no matter what. And if something gets a little off track, we say, okay, learning from it, moving forward, because I'm confident and I believe in myself that I can make this work. So I consistently make good choices. I'm consistently taking aligned action, and I'm doing it with real decision. That's a wonderful, unlimited belief to hold. And when you do that, when you have the confidence and self-belief in place and you're taking consistent action, you get the results. You get the results you want. Now, here's the thing. Most people have this backwards, right? Most people think, well, I need to see the results first, and then I'll feel confident and I can believe in myself. But it doesn't work that way. It's what researchers have discovered about all success and happiness. A lot of people think that being successful equals happiness. So when I have the abundance, when my business is doing great, when I have good health, when I find love, then I'll be happy. But it doesn't work that way. It's the other way around. You've got to be happy first and hold the frequency or the vibration or the energy of ease and joy and an abundant mindset, and then the success happens. Only then does the success happen, actually. And that's just an indisputable law of energy that all of us want to break that law, but it doesn't really get us where we want to go. So I have found to just honor the law is a much more quick, I get there so much quicker. And so the same thing is true here. The results do not come first. You've got to put the confidence and self-belief foundation in place. And you do that by confronting the pieces that are showing themselves to you when you make a decision to move forward. And you get those pieces in place, you create the confidence and the self-belief, which is the unshakable mindset, and then the results will come. And that's why this mindset piece is so crucially important. So I really wanted to share this with you. Start working on it now. Of course, we'll visit on this when we talk during our personal strategy session. I'm really excited to connect with you, and I want you to build and cultivate your unshakable mindset. So, okay, I will connect with you really soon, and I'm looking very forward to it.